Veterans Day, a day dedicated to all men and women who served in the United States Armed Forces. Men and women who put their personal desires aside to unite and fight for a common good, our nation's right to freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. On this 11th day of this 11th month, we follow that tradition. And to Idaho veterans, we say thank you. Families gathered lining the streets in front of the Idaho State Capitol, the American flag flapping in the breeze. These are the images that we usually see on Veterans Day here in the Treasure Valley. But unprecedented times have led to this year's Veterans Day parade being canceled. However, nothing can cancel the gratitude that we feel for those who have served our nation.
Melissa, here at the Idaho State Veterans Cemetery, a statue that was created by magnificent artist Ben Victor. But the theme of it is, I will have your back, always. We need to realize that our veterans, from the very conception of the United States of America, have had the back of every citizen and all that we stand for, our freedoms, our liberties. They have sacrificed. When you look at all these gravestones, you think of Arlington Cemetery. The sacrifice made by the veterans on behalf of everyone else in this country is incredible. It was selfless. And so for us to take the time to thank them is our responsibility. I think back to the Vietnam era when we did not treat our warriors properly. I think one of the greatest things that the Vietnam veterans have done for this country is to teach us how to properly thank our veterans, welcome them home, and tell them, God bless you as you have protected us. I've seen firsthand some of the rigors that they go through. When I was on the Senate Armed Services Committee, I went to Mogadishu 10 days after the Rangers had all been killed and dragged through the streets, to Sarajevo, and to see in those combat situations what they're doing and how far from home they are. When the 116th was deployed to Iraq for one entire year, to know what it meant to the families, hoping and praying that the loved ones would come home, not everyone did.
I joined the Air Force right out of high school. Got stationed at Mountain Home Air Force Base. Had a couple of jobs there, then moved into the Idaho Air National Guard and worked full-time there. Had some opportunities to deploy overseas. A lot of great opportunities. And got to see a lot of neat things. And as I retired as a commander of the Idaho Air National Guard. Well, you know, we're in unprecedented times with the pandemic. So we weren't able to do the parade last year. We're not able to do it this year. So we have a 20-year history of doing this parade in downtown Boise to honor Idaho's veterans. So we thought it would be very important this year to not only recognize the reason why we're not having the parade. We have so many veterans that have come back from service. They're firefighters, they're EMTs, they're police officers, they work in medical service. So they've served their nation and now they're serving their state and their local communities. So honoring those first responders and those veterans who are now in another role is vitally important to us.
I'm honored to be the chair of the advisory committee for the commissioning of the USS Idaho. It's been 100 years since we've had a ship named Idaho. It stands over 3 stories high, over 3 stories wide. Approximately 135 individuals, men and women. These submarines are designed so that we'll also have male and female officers and crew members. They will be in the oceans of the world and in an instant, if necessary, defend what the United States of America stands for, freedom and liberty.
Welcome back to this half-hour special of Honoring Idaho's Veterans. This year's parade theme would have been first responders, like the first responders of our Idaho National Guard, who have always had our back during times of emergency.
Once I got in the military post-college, I really enjoyed it and decided to stay. So I've been in a little over 34 years at this point, yes. Our primary purpose and mission is to maintain readiness to serve as a combat reserve for the Army and the Air Force. But our secondary role is when citizens of Idaho are experiencing an emergency or some type of disaster and the governor calls on us, that we're available to support the civilian authorities to provide emergency response here in Idaho. And this year, actually the last year and a half, has really been unprecedented, unlike no other. Of course, it started in about the middle of 2020 with the pandemic overwhelming the healthcare facilities. And so we were called upon to provide support at healthcare facilities throughout the state. And then on top of that, in the last year, we had a large number of wildfires throughout the state. And so we had guardsmen performing firefighting operations, both from helicopters, and we had firefighting crews on the ground. Since the Idaho National Guard was formed in March of 1891, probably every year we've been using some small capacity. One of the largest ones that comes to mind was in 1976 when the Teton Dam broke. And that was probably the largest emergency, largest dam break in our country's history. And the Idaho National Guard played a very key role back then in rescuing people from the flood. You know, we serve to protect and support and defend the Constitution of the United States, which I believe is a very worthwhile and noble cause.
And just as the Idaho National Guard first responders have taken care of us, those at the Veterans Hospital find it an honor to take care of them.
I think the major thing that we have done during the pandemic is provided inpatient care to those veterans who were really, really sick, who needed to be admitted to the hospital. Conversations with veterans, they tell me, you know, we moved to Idaho because of the VA hospital there, because it is such an exceptional institution. And so we provide lots of different services for our veterans: inpatient care, outpatient care, specialty care. We even provide care to homeless veterans, veterans in crisis, those who are contemplating suicide. We have services that can help all veterans in different situations. We have a special calling to take care of veterans, and we honor our veterans. We really love to take care of veterans, and we just feel that it is such a pleasure to serve those who've served our country.
A pleasure and an honor. Well, typically you would see the Coal Valley Christian Marching Band in the Veterans Day Parade, but since we're not in person, they are saying thank you through a special performance. Thank you for joining us on this special half hour of honoring Idaho's veterans. Countless Idaho veterans have put others' well-being before their own while serving in the United States Armed Forces, and they continue to carry that torch as first responders in our communities. Al, tell us how you served our country.
So I joined the Marines in September of 2001. I was an infantryman for 4 years, and I was deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq for a total of 4 deployments.
Well, I've got about 40 years of total service, 20 years with the military and 20 years with the Boise Police Department. I was in the Air Force. Like I said, I did 20 years there. I was stationed at 4 different bases: Eglin Air Force Base, Clifford, NAS, Iceland, Spangdahlem Air Base, Germany, and then of course right here at Mountain Home Air Force Base here in Idaho.
I was on a hospital ship. There were two of us, the USS Repose and the USS Sanctuary. And so we would move according to where there was the most activity. And our patients were brought to us by helicopter. There's the landing pad on the ship.
I went and served in little farm fields of Altus, Oklahoma by the Red River in Texas. Was stationed over in Guam, so I got to see the Western Pacific. Came back to Nebraska, deployed to Iraq for a time, went down to Florida, and was involved with graduate medical education as a program director down there in the residency program. And then the final peak of the career with the Air Force was going out to Nevada at Nellis and starting a residency training program from scratch.
And what does it mean to you to have served your country as a Marine?
What's more meaningful to me as a veteran is saying, hey, not only did I play my part, but I fought alongside some people that died for these freedoms, and that's really, really beautiful to me.
I love this country. I swore in the military and I swore for the police department that I would give my life if necessary to protect this nation and our people.
It gave me an opportunity to work with amazing colleagues. I call them patriots, people who routinely sacrifice for the people around them.
One of the things that the military really gives you is a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging.
Do you have a special message for veterans today on this Veterans Day?
I think the biggest thing is I'm really proud of every service member. It takes a lot of commitment and sacrifice. And the other thing would be, things get tough, don't give up. Just don't give up. It's something that I've had to, remind myself of, but it's something that I think is really important.
It's been an honor to serve and just let veterans know that regardless of what's going on in the country, that we all support you. And whether we served or not, I talked to lots of people who didn't serve but still support us, whether it be military or police or first responders or whatever it is. There's a lot of support still out here. And don't be discouraged with the things that you may see or hear in other places.
I would say, again, thank you for your willingness to serve. I know less than 1% of the American population now has served in the military. It's now a very unique thing. Many other people don't recognize the sacrifices that you've made. And all I can do is say thank you for your willingness to do that. And I hope that we continue to train up younger generations to follow in your footsteps.
I think that kind of sacrifice needs to be honored and respected, not to mention putting your life in jeopardy. So really believe in doing whatever I can.
For many families, serving in the armed forces is an honor that has been passed down from generation to generation. And it's those stories of serving a greater good that have inspired so many and have also paved the way for our freedoms today. Clifford, tell us about your time serving our country. First of all, how did you serve?
I was in the Navy, and I did my boot camp in Farragut, Idaho. And after my 8 weeks in Farragut, I was assigned on a minesweeper, USS Caravan 147, and I was in the South Pacific. And we were sweeping mines, and I was assigned to a CVE aircraft carrier, but they were still building it in Portland. And they finally finished. We took it for a shakedown, and as we were coming back, they dropped the bombs, so we went to Guam, and we sat in Guam for about 10 days or so, and they said, yes, it's over, and we came back, and I got out of the service.
When I was in high school, I always had a love of country and a feeling of duty. So I knew what I was going to do. I was going to join the Army and move forward from there, kind of a family tradition. After I enlisted, I basic training in Fort Lewis, Washington. Then I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for artillery's training. And then I went to Fort Benning, Georgia for paratrooper training and learned how to jump out a perfectly good airplane. After there, I went to the 82nd Airborne Division in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And then I was transferred from there to the 101st Airborne in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and went from infantry in Fort Bragg with the 82nd to heavy weapons infantry at Fort Campbell. Wow. And from there the division went to Vietnam in December of '67. I went over with the division. And I spent a year in Vietnam and then came home and was assigned to the 75th Rangers for the rest of that 3-year enlistment, and then had 3 years of reserves after that, and then I was discharged.
I enlisted in the Navy while I was still in high school, Naval Reserve, up at Naval Air Station Sandpoint, Seattle. Went on active duty a year later in 1962. Went to Naval Air Station Alameda. I was there for about 4 months, and then went to Naval Air Technical Training Center in Millington, Tennessee, and attended A school. Next place I served in was Naval Air Station South Weymouth, Massachusetts. Sent to Naval Air Station Glenview. And from there, I went to Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni. I was in the Naval Air Support Unit there. We supported the deployed patrol squadron, P3s. And 1985, came back to the States and went to VAQ 309 at Naval Air Station Whidbey Island. Let's see, I think my wife and I figured out one time is 13 moves. And I retired from VAQ 309 in June of '85.
June of '85.
I believe it was.
So how many years of service is that?
Let's see, 22 years, 11 months, 23 days.
What does it mean to you today to have served your country?
Well, I'm really pleased that I'm not one of the 400,000. You know, I mean, I came out of it, and that in itself, you know, you have to have a special feeling because so many are, you know, still out there in foreign countries, and we have to think about those people. And otherwise, just another good little life. I had a wonderful life. I have no complaints at all. I married my high school sweetheart, and we had 5 children. And so I have no complaints.
I'm proud of my service. You know, Vietnam vets were never welcomed home. Like, we did our duty, we came home, but we didn't expect, most of us kind of expected to be, thank you for serving, you know, I'm glad you're home, you know, but we never got that. We were seen as part of the problem, not part of the solution. And when I would say that is not the way it was, but I try to forget it, but I can't separate it completely.
I was doing my duty. You learn to live with loneliness, boredom, excitement. It was a good life. You know, it's not a job, it's a life.
John, why does Albertsons find it important to support Idaho's veterans?
For us to support the veterans is really the least we can do. We find it really an honor to really give back to those that really put it all on the line for us, right? To protect us, and it's just an opportunity for us to give back to them.
And this is something you've been a part of for a series of years.
Oh yes, this is our 7th year now that we've been a sponsor of this event. It's just a great event. Again, we just love getting out there and supporting the veterans and all that they do for us.
And Albertsons is an Idaho company.
Albertsons opened up his first store, Joe Albertsons. And you know, Joe always talked about the importance of giving back to the community. And so 82 years later, we couldn't be more proud to still honor Joe's philosophy of giving back.
Do you want to give a personal thank you to the veterans watching today?
Absolutely, thank you so much. You know, we talk about it a lot, that when we go to bed at night, we can rest our head on our pillow and we know we're safe. And we're safe because of men and women like you, so courageous, that are out there making sure that we're safe. So we just want to, on behalf of Albertsons, want to thank you for all you do.
First and foremost, thank you.
To all those who have served
and those who continue to serve, New Horizons Boise thanks you for your bravery and service.
Each and every person that served and their families are still top of mind to Idahoans.
We, Troop 737, thank you for serving our country and supporting girls around the world.
Albertsons would like to honor and thank military families in our community for all they have sacrificed.
Thank you, veterans!
I want to wish all you veterans out there a happy Veterans Day. You did your duty, and you can take pride in it. So good luck, smooth sailing. Take care.